Lesson 12. Precursors. Memory text. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. This week, we'll explore two Bible stories that foreshadow end-time events. First, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's story echoes themes in Revelation 13. Then we'll look at early Christians in the New Testament, to better understand what lies ahead before Christ's return. Both examples show great courage and offer guidance for finding peace in difficult times. Jesus often said, "Do not fear, and why do your thoughts trouble you?" Prophecy centers on Christ, so his comforting words should echo, even in end-time events. As he told his disciples, "Let not your heart be troubled, believe also in me." Yes, the last days will be challenging, but for the faithful, they are a source of hope, not fear.
Daniel 2, and the historicist approach to prophecy. One of the most powerful prophecies in Scripture is Daniel 2. Over 500 years before Christ, the prophet outlined world history, from Babylon, to Media-Persia, Greece, Rome, and the breakup of Rome, into today's modern European nations. Throughout history, Europe has seen repeated attempts at unification. Through marriage alliances, empires, and military conquests, but each has ultimately failed. Even modern efforts like the European Union face ongoing political and economic challenges, revealing the persistent divisions across the continent. In Daniel 2 verses 31 to 45, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed of a great statue made of various metals, a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet partly of iron and clay. A stone, not cut by human hands, struck the statue's feet, breaking the entire image into pieces, which the wind blew away. Daniel interpreted the dream as a prophecy of successive kingdoms: Babylon gold, Media-Persia silver, Greece bronze, Rome iron, and divided Europe iron and clay. The stone represents God's eternal kingdom, which will destroy all earthly powers, and last forever.
Worshipping the image. Even though Nebuchadnezzar was impressed by what Daniel had done, and showed respect to Daniel and his God at first, it did not last very long. The all-gold statue in Daniel 3 symbolized King Nebuchadnezzar's defiance of God's prophecy in Daniel 2, where only the head was gold. By making the entire statue gold, and demanding worship, the king was rejecting God's plan, and trying to assert that his kingdom would last forever. It was an act of pride and rebellion against divine authority. Babylon would never fall, and Nebuchadnezzar would always be king, or so he thought. Anyone who challenged that was sentenced to death. This shows how easily human pride can blind us to the truth of God's plan. In many ways, Nebuchadnezzar mirrored Lucifer, ambitious and rebellious. But unlike Lucifer, Nebuchadnezzar later turned to faith, and we may one day meet him in the kingdom he once resisted. Daniel 3 verses 17 to 18 shows that true faith trusts God completely, even when the outcome is uncertain. The three Hebrews were willing to die, rather than disobey God, teaching us that faith may require courage, sacrifice, and standing firm, even in the face of death. Think how easily these three men could have avoided danger. Just a simple bow, even if they didn't mean it. Couldn't they have faked it to stay alive? But they chose to stand firm, knowing they might die, and still believed it was worth it.
Worshipping the image, again. Revelation also reflects similar decrees that go out to the people, and the statue of gold in Daniel. Revelation 13 verses 11 to 17, describes a power enforcing worship of the beast, through economic pressure and even death. Revelation 14, verses 9 and 11, warns of God's judgment on those who receive the mark of the beast, while verse 12 praises the saints who keep God's commandments and faith in Jesus. Revelation 16 verse 2, shows painful sores on those with the mark, and Revelation 19 verse 20, and 20 verse 4, depict the final destruction of the beast, and reward for those who refused its mark. The contrast highlights loyalty to God's commandments, versus obedience to human authority opposed to God. Romans 1 verses 18 to 25, shows how people reject God's truth, and worship created things instead of the Creator, bringing God's wrath. Revelation 14 verses 9 to 10, warns of that same wrath on those who worship the beast and its image. Both passages reveal the same core issue. Whether humans give their allegiance to God, or to false, man-made powers. Worship isn't just bowing or rituals. It's about where our ultimate loyalty lies. As our Creator and Redeemer, only God deserves that loyalty. Anything else is idolatry. That's why Jesus said, "He who is not with me is against me." The final events will reveal this truth in a powerful way.
Early church persecution. The New Testament also points to end-time events. Early Christians faced hostility, from both fellow Jews and the Roman Empire. Acts 12 verses 1 to 17 contains several elements that foreshadow last-day events described in Revelation. Herod's arrest of Peter and execution of James mirrors the intensified persecution of believers in the last days. Peter is imprisoned not for wrongdoing but for his faith, just as end-time believers may be imprisoned for refusing to worship the beast or accept its mark. God sends an angel to miraculously deliver Peter, showing that divine protection and intervention will still be possible for God's faithful even in times of crisis. The early church's earnest prayer for Peter reflects the need for united, constant prayer among believers during times of severe trial in the end times. The believer's surprise when Peter appears suggests that even faithful people may struggle to believe in God's power under pressure, yet he still delivers. Together, these elements point to a time of trial, prayer, and miraculous rescue, echoing themes from Revelation 13 and beyond. Jesus' call to Peter, despite foretelling his death, shows that faithfulness to God is more important than preserving our lives.
The mark of the beast. There is no mark of the beast enforcement now, but Revelation makes it clear that it is coming. We know it is not a literal mark, but about who we worship. Worshipping the Creator is tantamount to salvation and redemption, making a connection to the Sabbath. But what about the other commandments? Worship is not about just physical acts, but spiritual. Are all Jews who claim to keep the Sabbath going to be saved? Before you get to the Sabbath, you will be forced to violate the first. Commandments are falling, one by one. In both Matthew 12 verses 9 to 14, and John 5 verses 1 to 16, the issue that caused the religious leaders to want to kill Jesus was his healing on the Sabbath, a day that was meant for rest according to Jewish law. This challenged their interpretation of the law and their authority, leading to their increasing hostility. The beast power will be hostile to everything that Christians do. You will not die because of just one commandment. You cannot violate the other 9 and think you are safe. You will be persecuted for keeping the entire law of God. Do not think you will be allowed to worship the true God 6 days of the week.
Thank you for studying with us. We hope you give this video a like, and please subscribe. And always, keep the faith of Jesus.